topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon, Los Angeles. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Today is a very special show. Our expert, who's one of the finest experts in neuropathy, lives here in Los Angeles, and everybody knows about the fires, and everybody knows someone who's been affected by these fires, but he still wanted to come on today. We're also going to, because this is such an important show, we're going to replay the show tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Pacific Coast time. But let me welcome to you one of the finest doctors, chiropractors in Los Angeles, Dr. Jason Kelberman with Westside Wellness Center.
Good afternoon. Glad to be here.
Wow. I got to tell you, I was shocked because I know what's going on in Los Angeles, Dr. Kelberman, and I was so glad you still were able to do the show. Tell people quickly what's going on in Los Angeles.
So the fires are starting to be under control, but now we're going to have more Santa Ana winds with the threat of 75 to 85 mile an hour winds again, which is, man, that's just a blowtorch. I shared with you earlier, I had a house in one of the canyons that had a fire 12 years ago. So I have firsthand experience of what that looks like. And it is scary as anything you've ever experienced. And not just the fire part. I mean, you finish the fire part and then you go, oh my God, how do I rebuild? How do I deal with the insurance companies? Who's trying to scam me? I don't trust this contractor. No, they're not delivering. I mean, it goes on. So I feel for these people so personally because I've been there. I don't know how they're going to handle the thousands that are affected. And of course, I feel for people who didn't have insurance anymore for a variety of different reasons.
That's another thing.
I also, and that just kind of dovetails me into why I do neuropathy care, because I see patients, all the time who are having their entire lives affected, in so many ways that it's kind of my life's purpose right now to not just help as many people who are suffering, but my goal for this year is to now train as many doctors as I possibly can in this kind of care with some of the specialties that I have to offer. So that's a program that I'm very close to my heart. I enjoy teaching. Used to do all kinds of relicensing education in the state of California, and so that's kind of my goal for this year. Now, let's get started. One of the biggest questions.
I got to tell people about you. I had someone ask me who loves your show, wanting to know what other areas besides neuropathy do you treat?
Well, I treat all of the typical sports injuries and body functional problems that any chiropractor would. Anything from, spinal related to shoulder, hip, cranial, TMJ, headaches, metabolic issues, nutritional things. Just pretty much I take care of people. And that's kind of one of the themes that's going to be for this show. Because, well, let's start with this. The first question that most people ask is, how do I know if it's good or bad, dangerous or safe or whatever? So I'm try to make it simple. In my world, it's how it starts. For example, if you gradually have symptoms and one day it's a little numb and the next day it's a little tingling and then it's a little painful and then it burns and now you're weak and that's a classic progression, okay, that is easily handled, right? Here's the difficult case, and it's going to be a shock to you, the one that hits like that. I woke up one day and my whole leg was numb and I couldn't walk on it. Now, key word there was numb. So most people think that pain is the worst thing that can happen to you. And I'm going to tell you, numbness is probably the worst thing that could happen to you because it takes out all of your function. Now you think, oh, I can live with a little numbness. I just can't live with pain. I can rehab pain twice as fast as numbness. Okay? Wow. So when somebody says, I was doing fine and whammo, 3 weeks ago, this started, that sets up my my alert antenna right away, because there's a condition in neuropathy we call CIDP, and you won't remember it, but it's chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyneuropathy. And the keyword there is demyelinating. That means the nerves are degenerating and you lose the function of them. And in some cases it's permanent. So that's a case, if somebody has that, I usually refer them immediately for neurologic intervention with a specialist who does intravenous immunoglobulin therapy. As do this immediately, and then we'll start rehab, okay? All other cases I can handle directly, but that one case that hits hard and fast like that, that's a red flag warning, okay? So
why does it go to the feet, doctor?
Okay, good question. We can look at that as it's the furthest away from the heart. It has the least amount of circulation for a lot of people. And let's look at the general geographic of it. Who gets peripheral neuropathy? Older people, okay? I'm going to say over 60. I see a lot, 35 to 55, but most of the cases that are not diabetic or toxic are over 60. It happened gradually. They come in, and most of those people have stopped moving. Movement is life. It's one of the reasons why I created and designed my foot power equipment, to get the feet moving and bring the strength back, because it brings the circulation back as well, okay? Still loving the heck out of this piece of equipment. There's nothing else like there on the market. It helps 95% of everybody that uses it get much faster and more complete results, and they can do it at home. So You and I had a brief conversation about things that are sold on the web, okay, that are supposed to be good for neuropathy. Well, just so you know, I've bought every single one of those because I want to make sure that we didn't miss anything, okay? And so, all the nutrients, while they're all okay, most of them don't have enough strength to do much good because they have to sell to everybody and be safe. But some do help. And those are the ones that help nutritional deficiency neuropathy patients, okay? And by the way, that can also come secondary to them taking certain drugs which create nutritional deficiencies. The most notorious of which is metformin for diabetes, and it's a B12 deficiency. So let's talk about the whole person here for a moment, okay? My approach, and the reason that we get so much faster and better and more complete results than most other systems, is that we take the whole person into account. So imagine, if you will, somebody who has 10 different medical issues going on and they have neuropathy, okay? Is that going to be more difficult than somebody who just has neuropathy? Heck yeah, all right? Yeah. Because that's a lot of systems that are not working very well, and they've needed medical intervention and drugs to compensate for, okay? And so that's a system that takes more knowledge to treat. You need to use functional medicine with them. You need to create special diets for them, as well as then taking care of the neurologic, metabolic, and mechanical issues. And each one of those has a different bias. So for example, if it's a diabetic case, you need to do more functional medicine along with everything else, okay? If it's a lumbar stenosis case, you need to do lumbar decompression along with everything else, okay? And by the way, all those cases, you have to strengthen their feet, okay? Here's a piece of information. If you took 1,000 seniors and you asked them, how much do you walk? How much are you capable of walking? What kind of exercise do you do with your legs compared to where you were when you were 40? I would guess they're 80% less, okay? I see a whole bunch of weakness just from disuse atrophy, let alone neuropathy, okay? Because we have a whole bunch of muscles in our legs and feet that work in different directions. If you only walk forwards, those are the muscles that are going to work. If you don't walk sideways and backwards, you're going to lose those muscles. So that's something I noticed along the way of treating all this is everybody over 50 has certain weakness patterns that are just age related, okay? So you got to correct those too. And to the degree that you address all of the issues that the person is having, that's the amount of progress that you make with the neuropathy as well, okay? It's a two-way street. Many people have no idea what's going on inside their body. And so it's my job to figure out what is, educate them, get them on board, because we always work as a team, okay? If a patient can't give me feedback as to what's going on, it's hard for me to adjust the program along the way. And we do that a lot. This is not a
Jason,
program.
We just had someone text us, enjoying the show. What about, does it affect my balance?
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about balance. Where does it come from? Well, let's take it apart. When you're balancing, are you standing on both legs? Yes. Each foot, which by the way has 25% of all the bones of your entire body, so that's an important number, has electrical nerve receptors in the joints. When your foot hits the ground, it stimulates 27 muscles instantly. I mean, instantly. It's the fastest communication process in the body. If the communication from the foot to the brain doesn't work, you're going to be unable to compensate and your balance will suffer. Almost all neuropathy patients have balance issues. I have run across a couple in the last 5 years who didn't, but it's very rare because it's totally involved.
What about, this is really important because this has to be treated. What happens if someone just ignores it and tries to let it go? What could happen to them?
5 famous words, maybe it will go away, that process. Yeah, in this case, that doesn't really work because it's a degenerative disease. Once you have it, if you don't jump on it, it's going to get worse. And I know a lot of people, I've dealt with this all the time. There's no way of knowing how fast or how bad it will be. And, I don't have a Ouija board or a crystal ball to know that, but they all get worse unless you jump in and correct all of the things that got you there. Okay. And some people are just not willing to do that. They still want to.
Does it start off gradually?
What's that?
Does it start off gradually, Doctor?
Most peripheral neuropathies start gradually. Yeah. Some don't, as we discussed earlier. So that's one of my earliest questions is how did it start? Yeah.
And just so people know, there's people who are listening to the show now and they're going, I wonder if I have it. What signs should they look for again?
Well, signs are anything that you're feeling down your legs. So it could be anything from numbness, tingling, burning, cramping, pain. Some patients even say, I feel like I have ants crawling up my leg. So when the nerves start to dysfunction, they can send out very strange messages. Okay, I've got a couple of patients say, you know what, I can't feel the pedal on my car. So I say, well, in that case, you shouldn't be driving, unfortunately. Okay. Most people say when I walk, I feel like I have bubble wrap under my feet. Okay. Some people feel like they have a stone stuck in their feet. So it varies quite a bit, but those are the general symptoms that most people have. Okay.
How do you, when they come to see you, How do you diagnose it?
So first we take a real thorough history, and for some people that's pretty long. Then I do a complete neurologic exam for the purposes of finding out whether it's a mild, moderate, or severe case. And then I also do an orthopedic and a functional evaluation of the legs and especially the feet, so I can know exactly how weak they are, how far along the process they are, what are the things that may overlap that. For example, some people are hypermobile, which means they have too much motion. Some people have no motion, okay? So this is part of the initial evaluation. I then may also look at MRIs of the lumbar spine, blood work, or any other EMG nerve conduction studies. Some people have already had punch biopsies done, et cetera. So there's a number of factors that I then look at and then come up with a specific plan for that person to get them back to life again, back to moving, back to what they like to do.
Dr. Kelberman, I've got to share this with everybody because this is so important. How long have you been doing this for?
So I've been a chiropractor for 40 years. I've been doing peripheral neuropathy and other related areas for about 20 now.
Okay. So I want to tell people, because I know this, there are so many doctors, chiropractors that are trying to get into this area. And you've been doing it for 20 years.
Yeah.
You've got to be very careful because there's a lot of people who are just getting into it, but they promote themselves as an expert.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Yeah.
are an expert in this.
Yeah. I finished training a couple of docs in Naples, Florida. And it was kind of one of those reasons why I decided, I'm going to focus on that for this year, in addition to taking care of patients in Los Angeles. Because, heck, I'm not going to be doing this that much longer. I'm kind of getting at that part of life.
You're going to share the secret sauce?
So, yeah. Because I think it's important. When you get to be a certain age, you realize that you have information that younger people really need to hear if they haven't already absorbed it. And I'm kind of there. I do love to teach, and I'm told I'm rather good at it. So
yes.
Why not? Why not? I mean, it's all about caring. It's all about helping people. I mean, that's really where I've been my whole career, and this is just the kind of the other end of my practice.
I got to tell you, I am so in awe of your practice. What your practice has done, where it's gone to. I mean, just think about all the people you've saved from having to have surgery.
Exactly.
I mean, it's endless. It's amazing.
And there's no surgery for neuropathy, really.
Yes, that's correct.
Unless they have a lumbar disc issue that's causing it, and that we know. Okay, yeah.
So let's talk about your approach now. Now you've done their history. Now what's next?
So once I go through that, I'll put together what I think is a plan that's right for them, and I'll sit down with them, discuss that in great detail, and make sure that we're both on the same track. Okay, make sure I can give them what they're looking to receive from care. Okay, and most of that's usually their life back and their feet back, but it varies. And some people say, "Oh, I want to be able to do tennis. I want to be able to dance. I want, there are a lot of different things that are more important to the person." Okay, and I want to make sure that we're in sync, because it's a team approach. We work together. It's not like I do everything. We work as a team. So I think that's really important. I think that's one of the reasons why we do better here. And, I worked in a multidiscipline clinic for 15 years. We had every specialty involved. And so I took the theme of that clinic and brought it into this. So when you come here for care, there's not just one modality. You're going to see a lot of people advertising this modality or that modality. And what I'm going to tell you is I pretty much have all of the latest FDA cleared, most effective equipment under one roof. and foot power, because nobody has foot power. Okay. So I think that's a plus. I think that's one of the many reasons why we get better results, is because we're treating the whole person. Okay. We're not just trying a simple. So for example, the medical approach in most cases is gabapentin or Lyrica. Now, you'd be surprised how many people come in who are numb, who are on gabapentin. By the way, gabapentin is only good for pain and burning. It has nothing to do with numbness whatsoever. It has no effect at all. It was originally a seizure drug. It's a brain drug. So it dovetails into nerve treatment as an off-labeling of it. And so, yeah, there's not a lot in the medical world. You get people ask me, okay, well, what will my insurance cover? Well, it's going to cover gabapentin, Lyrica. It's going to cover some pain medication. It's going to cover a cane and a walker when you get to that part. Okay, and if you're diabetic, they may end up taking a toe off. And I can tell you right now, in the last 15 years, I have not had any diabetics lose a single part. Okay.
Wow.
We have
That's amazing.
therapies that increase circulation to those feet to such degree that we have not lost a single toe. Okay. Now they've come in with me with a half a foot missing already, but we've not had that. We've not failed them in that regard. So I'm pretty proud of that statistic as well.
Do you have to change their diet at all?
Many times. I would say more often than not. With the diabetics, absolutely. So let's just talk a moment about nerves, because nerves are connected to your brain, and the brain and nervous system is fat-based, okay? I mean, you could even say, well, the brain runs on glucose, so I'm going to eat sugar. Well, yeah, that doesn't work very well. The body will convert and give the brain whatever it needs, but sugar in the bloodstream, by the way, high blood pressure has a similar effect on the bloodstream and arteries as high sugar. So when I get a patient who comes in with high blood pressure, diabetes, back pain, foot, and all this, I know that all of those parameters need to be included in the care so they'll get well. So yeah, we often talk about what a good fat is, what a bad fat is, what a good carbohydrate is, what a bad carbohydrate is. People sometimes have absolutely no idea that they're eating wrong for their body and or their condition. So yeah, we help them a lot with that.
You know, I got to tell you, the show goes by so fast. We're
Yep.
going to be replaying the show tomorrow morning because this is such an important topic. And we were so lucky to get Dr. Kelberman. Tell people how they can reach you, Dr. Kelberman.
So our office number is 310-268-8008. You can see the website address down below. It's www.westsidewellnesscenter.com. You can always, they can actually make their own appointment, I believe, if they go through the website. Don't quote me on that one. But yeah, you can always call the 268-8008 number. Maui is our front desk gal. She's wonderful. She's been doing healthcare for quite a while, and she is extremely helpful for helping you get in for your consult. So right now, what we're doing just to educate everybody is offering basically a no-charge first visit to give you the opportunity to at least explore what's going on with you and give you the option to know more and do more. In other words,
I got to tell you, I feel so comfortable, educating people with you, Dr. Kelberman. Dr. Kelberman's with us every month, but we found the show so important. We're actually doing the live like we're doing now, and we'll repeat it tomorrow morning. You can always go to iHeart in their library under Los Angeles, Ask the Experts, Neuropathy. Dr. Kelberman, thank you so much, and we'll see you again next month.
Great. Happy to be here. Glad to be here.
Hey, stay safe. Stay safe, Dr. Kelberman.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Keep your mask on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kelberman. We're going to go to a short break. We'll be right back with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.